We live in a culture that's always chasing more. More money, more success, more comfort, more validation. But have you ever noticed the more we chase, the emptier we feel? It's kind of like running on a treadmill that never stops. You're always working harder, moving faster, but never getting anywhere. Nothing ever actually satisfies. And I think gratitude in this kind of world is really difficult, and sometimes it can even feel impossible. But that's because most of us have it backwards. We think once we reach the next season, once we get the next promotion, the next relationship, once that prayer's finally answered, then we'll be able to be thankful. Then we'll feel content. But the second we get there, the finish line moves again. So we keep chasing, and all the while we miss what's already in front of us. We tell ourselves we'll be thankful when life slows down, when the bills aren't so tight, when things finally fall into place. But here's the truth. If you're waiting for life to get easier before you're grateful, you're going to be waiting forever. Because gratitude isn't something that happens when your life gets better. It's something that makes your life better now. And this is something I know from experience. It's something that I've had to learn because I'm not naturally a grateful person. I'm driven, I'm future focused. I'm always thinking about what's coming next. And when something good happens, I celebrate it for about 5 minutes. And then I'm already focused on the next goal. But my wife, she's wired a little bit differently. And years ago, we were going through one of the hardest seasons of our life. We had poured everything into this church plant. Years of prayer, of planning, of sacrifice, and then it all fell apart. And while I was angry, anxious, and trying to figure out how to move forward, my wife was doing something I didn't understand. She had just read this book called 1,000 Gifts by Ann Voskamp. And in it, Voskamp challenges the readers to write down 1,000 things they're thankful for over the course of a year. And I skimmed the book and I thought, man, that's a great idea. And I moved on. But she took it seriously. And every day she'd write down things she was grateful for. Sometimes it was a small thing like a sunset or our son's laughter or a text from a friend. Sometimes it was bigger things. And while nothing about our situation changed, something changed in her. We were in the same house, the same pain, the same uncertainty. But while I was drowning in discouragement, she had peace. And that season taught me something I wish I learned sooner. Gratitude isn't a reaction to a blessing. It's a way of seeing the world. It's a spiritual discipline, a way of aligning your heart with the truth that even when life is hard, God is still good. You see, gratitude is not just a good idea. It's a command woven into the rhythm of what it means to follow Jesus. In 1 Thessalonians 5, Paul writes that we should rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances. For this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. Notice that. Gratitude isn't a side effect of God's will. It is God's will. It's not about pretending everything's fine. It's about learning to see God's hand even when life is difficult. Paul didn't write this verse from comfort. He actually wrote it from confinement. He had been beaten, betrayed, imprisoned, and yet his response wasn't bitterness, it was worship. For Paul, gratitude wasn't denial, it was defiance. It was standing in the dark and saying, God is still good. And that's what gratitude does. It reorders your vision. It pulls your eyes off what's missing and fixes them on what's present. It turns your focus from what's out of your control to the one who is in control. And in Philippians 4, Paul gives us the reason why when he says, don't be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your request to God. And that phrase with thanksgiving in the Greek literally means in company with gratitude. In other words, every prayer is meant to walk hand in hand with thanksgiving. Gratitude isn't something you add on at the end. It's how you enter the conversation with God in the first place. And what's the result? The peace of God which transcends understanding will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. And that word guard, it's a military term. It means to stand watch. Gratitude becomes the shield. It just doesn't make you feel better, it makes you stronger. It stands guard over your thoughts when fear attacks. It defends your peace when anxiety tries to take over. Gratitude isn't weak, it's warfare. It's the quiet strength of someone who trusts that God's goodness is bigger than their circumstance. And what's fascinating is science backs all this up. Researchers from Harvard, from Yale, from UC Davis have found that gratitude actually reshapes the mind. People who regularly practice it experience less anxiety and depression, they sleep better, they have stronger relationships. Their brains literally begin to rewire. The areas tied to joy, empathy, and peace, they grow stronger. And while the pathways of fear and comparison grow weaker. In other words, what Paul described as the peace of God guarding your heart and mind is something scientists can now see happening inside your brain. Gratitude protects what anxiety tries to steal. But here's the key. The Bible has always gone deeper than biology because gratitude doesn't just change how you think, it changes who you trust. It's not just emotional, it's spiritual. It's a battle of allegiance. In Romans 1, Paul describes humanity's slow drift away from God. And notice where the slide begins. He writes, "For although they knew God, they neither glorified him as God nor gave thanks to him." The first step away from God, it's not idolatry. It's ingratitude. A refusal to thank him leads to a refusal to see him. That's what makes gratitude so powerful. It keeps our vision clear. It's how we keep our hearts guarded and keep it rooted in Christ. And that's why Christians through the centuries have seen thankfulness as a weapon. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, writing from a Nazi prison cell, he once said, "It is only with gratitude that life becomes rich." And this guy had lost everything, his freedom, his comfort, his safety, and yet gratitude anchored him in joy that his captors couldn't touch. And C.S. Lewis once wrote that gratitude exclaims, "How good of a God to give me this," while pride says, "I deserve this." Pride and gratitude, they can't coexist. One always kills the other. And that's why gratitude matters so much. It guards your heart from entitlement, from envy, from despair. It breaks the illusion that you're self-sufficient. It reminds you that grace still runs through your life, right here, right now, in ordinary moments that are anything but small. Gratitude in the end is worship. It's the soul's way of saying, "God, I see you in this." When my wife was keeping that gratitude journal, I thought it was just a way of her coping. But I see it differently now. She was fighting a battle that I didn't even know how to fight. Well, I was asking God, "Where are you? God, why would you let this happen?" She was whispering, "Thank you for what you're still giving." And every line she wrote, everything she noticed was an act of resistance, a quiet declaration that even when life feels like it's breaking, God doesn't. And that's what real gratitude is. It doesn't erase the pain, it redeems it. It doesn't just change you, it takes your past and redeems it. Gratitude won't fix every problem, but it will keep your problems from fixing your focus. So, how do we actually live this out? How do we move from knowing we should become thankful or be thankful to actually becoming thankful? And I want to give you 4 simple practices that can help you start this in your life. And the first one is this: name what is good. And Psalm 103 says, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits." You see, gratitude starts with remembering every day. Name a few things you're thankful for, big or small. A conversation that encouraged you, a hot cup of coffee, the fact that you woke up in the morning with breath in your lungs. Gratitude grows where you give it attention. So name what's good, write it down, take some time each day to simply notice. And the second way that you can grow more gratitude in your life is to turn complaints into prayers. The reality is we all complain, it's human. But every complaint is just an unspoken longing for something better. So instead of just venting, turn it into a prayer. God, this situation is so frustrating, but thank you that you're still here for me. Thank you that you haven't left me. You see, that shift moves your heart from frustration to faith. And the third thing you can do is to practice gratitude before you feel it. And this is one of the hardest ones, but it's also one of the most powerful. In Philippians 4, Paul says to bring our requests to God with thanksgiving. That means before the outcome is clear, before the healing comes, before the door opens, we thank God. Because gratitude isn't based on what we see, it's based on who God is. And sometimes having faith means that we have to believe in advance what God has not yet revealed or done. And the last way that we can grow this gratitude in our life is to speak it out loud. Gratitude grows stronger when it's spoken. Thank your spouse, thank your friends, thank your coworkers, thank God out loud in prayer. The more you say it, the more you'll start to believe it and feel it in your life. And over time, all these practices will help you reshape who you are from the inside out. Gratitude will move from something you just do to someone you are. You'll stop asking, why don't I have what I want, and start realizing that God has already given me more than I deserve. And maybe that's the secret to joy, because gratitude and joy are inseparable. One always leads to the other. That's why Paul could write, "Rejoice always" from a prison cell. That's why David could sing hiding in a cave, fearing for his life. And that's why Jesus, on the night of his crucifixion, took bread and gave thanks. Think about that. Jesus gave thanks the night before he was betrayed. He knew what was coming, the suffering, the cross, the pain, and still he gave thanks. Because for him, gratitude wasn't a feeling, it was a posture. It was trust in his Father. So choose gratitude, even when it's hard. Don't wait for life to get easier before you give thanks. Start now. Give thanks for God for what he's done for you in the past, what he's doing for you in present, and even thank him for what you believe he will do in the future. God is working in your life in ways that we cannot understand, but he's there and he's with you. You see, gratitude doesn't depend on what's happening around you. It flows from what's happening inside of you. Gratitude won't make your life perfect, but it will lead you to peace that transcends our understanding. It can't take away every storm, but it will help you see the one who's in the boat with you, who's over the storm. So start practicing gratitude in your life and see how God can change it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it challenged and encouraged you to put gratitude into practice in your everyday life. I'd love to hear what you're thankful for today. Drop it down in the comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you can stay up to date on future content that's coming out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.